You're watching the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast, presented by Feel Free Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power, there's something for everyone. Z-Pro Lithium, serious power for serious anglers. Dubro Fishing, American marine application in soft plastics. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom bait maker. Raw and unfiltered. Streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Bringing you gear reviews and candid interviews from the industry's best. Angler profiles, tournament news, and legendary knowledge from kayak fishing's best. Grab that cold drink and get settled in. Now here's John Rapp, our host.
Yeah, I've got to say it. I'm not John Rapp. I'm your host, but I'm not John Rapp today.
Hey, guys.
What's going on, everybody, in the Rusty Hook Nation? West Virginia anglers that are making their trek down to South Carolina. How many anglers are making their way from West Virginia?
Last count I had was about 36.
Man, that's a nice contingent. That's a very good job.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. So, uneventful trip today, you know. But since the last podcast last Tuesday, you know, I talked to U.S. Kayak Fishing Magazine, had Roy on, and then I had Dan from Southeast Georgia Kayak Anglers. But I don't think I had pulled the trigger to purchase my spot in this event. So, pretty pleased. Since then, it looked like I was going to be staying with some boys from West Virginia in a camper. I'd reached out to about 4 or 5 different people that had houses, and they had a vacancy come open here with the boys from Pennsylvania. So that's going to be fun. I'm hanging out with them fellas. One of the guys just rolled in from pre-fishing. He had a pretty good day, so we'll go pick his brain and see if he'll spill some secrets. But like, if you guys were following my Facebook post this morning, I woke up, had a couple inches of snow on the ground in front of the house. It was 19 degrees when I was loading the truck up. Made my way down, had lunch with some dude. I can't remember his name.
It's this handsome-looking guy. It's a glorified soccer bus driver.
Yeah, hey, it was you. But yeah, man. So had lunch with you. Got to sit down and chat for about an hour and a half. It was great. Good seeing you, man. In person,
it's always great to see you.
Yeah,
one of the things that I think that I enjoyed most out of the last 10 years of doing tournaments and doing podcasts and shows and going to ICAST and being part of the Feel Free team earlier in the year, now being back with them, is that the community is just strong. Like, I mean, even though there's naysayers out there, there's things that are out there going on in the world that is just crazy. The community, and I mean, when I say the community, I mean the individual anglers are just awesome. Like, you cannot not have a good time when you meet up with them. I mean, you've got, how many anglers are going to be at this event at the Bassmaster?
Oh man, what last time I looked was like 236.
236 anglers making their way from all over the place. I mean, and I think I saw it correctly. It's covering the entire East Coast.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool what they did, Steve and them. They posted a map with red dots of everybody that signed up from all over the nation. And, you know, if you guys get a chance to go look at that, you'll really think, man, you can tell the Northeast was ready to get out of the house and get south to some nice weather.
You guys were running away from the cold and the snow.
Yeah.
You were running. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit. Like, you got there this afternoon, which was pretty cool because you left early. You met up with me, made your way down to Columbia, and then over to Lake Murray. So tell everybody kind of like what you did.
Yeah, I got here about 3 hours ago. Unloaded my gear and then pulled my boat out to where I could rig it up so it's tournament ready, not travel ready. Got my motor, got my graphs, everything up. I did realize I left a few items back in West Virginia that created a little snafu that caused me to reorganize my cockpit. I left my unibar legs. I brought 2 of the same side, so I don't have my right side, so I can't put it in the track. But I reconfigured everything, and I'll play with it a little bit tomorrow. I may have to drill a couple holes in my pod to mount a camera and my cell phone and my camera, and I think I might put a cup holder there too. But
You're just doing it all. So like one of the things that a lot of anglers don't have, and this is a great segue into it, is a checklist. And I have one that I can share with anybody. If you want one, just reach out to me. It's a standardized, like basically all the basic things that you need. Obviously your kayak, your stanchions and things like that. And you can add to this list as you see fit too, but it's all the basic stuff that you need. And it is important to make sure that you always have everything kind of like all in line, or you leave at really, really early in the morning and you forget your important parts. So either that, or John would have been looking at his live scope or his side scan sideways, and then it would have been worthless.
Yeah, it's I mean, I have everything set up, but I love having my unibar. I've used it since I've been with Feel Free, since it came out in 2014. Or actually, it's a 2013 product,
right?
But I've been using it since 14, since I've been on the team. It was pre-pod, back when nobody didn't have the pods. So, but now everybody's going back to 2 graph units, and you're seeing the explosion of all these companies coming out with the bars. Yak Gadget just dropped theirs. You've seen the command center that Native has. I mean, Catch Boards has come out with their version of one. Even Chad Hoover and those boys. Well, I think that is Catch that he was promoting, but there's a lot of them out there. But I've got like 4 of them for all my different boats, and 2 of my boats got them on it, and I just grabbed the one that was free, and I already had a leg on my boat where I'd taken one off, and right. I saw the extra leg laying there. I assumed, and we all know assumptions can bite you in your rear end.
Exactly.
But I made her work, and we'll see what happens. It's not going to be the kind of fishing I like to do, because I'm a dead sticker. I'm a really slow finesse fisherman, and I like to throw it out there, set that pole down on my unibar where the tip's up, grab a drink, eat a bar, jig it a little bit, set it back down. I am a slow finesse fisherman, especially when I'm fishing in cold water like we got now.
John is the complete opposite of me.
Yeah, that was an interesting lunch that we had today when we were talking techniques. But going back to techniques is a whole different thing. We could talk about that I'm really, really tickled that you talked about these checklists, because it's February, people's getting ready started, and everybody spent the last 3 or 4 days getting their stuff in their gear packed and ready and stuff like that. I was the same way, but I still walked off and forgot stuff. I wished I would have bought a drill. I didn't bring a drill, and I normally do.
Oh, wow.
So tomorrow I'll be making a trip to either Lowe's, Home Depot, or somewhere to get me just a small little drill.
See, you know what? You know what it is?
Here has one.
You know what it is? You've got your mind's all wrapped up in it, and you see the one thing, and you're like, oh, I just assumed that was it, and I took off, and I got going.
Oh yeah.
And it always happens to me that I forget like an important thing. I forgot my battery once. I forgot my motor once. I mean, even though I have a checklist, you still forget things. So that's why you do things the night before, you do things the day of, and you make sure you go through and you just double check real quick before you lock the doors and you get on the road. It's very important.
And that is so true, because, a couple years ago when I was making my trip to Florida to see you guys, when you still lived in Florida and I cast and stuff, I walked out and forgot my paddle. So this time I made sure I had that baby.
Well, you know what? I think Tim Isaacs is going to hook you up because he thinks he has a drill.
Oh, well, hey, Timmy, you're already down here somewhere, aren't you, Bubba?
He's got to be. Yeah. A lot of them are starting to make their way. They're starting to make their migration down there. Most of them are probably already there if they're not already out on the water.
Well, it's like I had some, I've had, how you're thinking, oh, I got to have this stuff, and I make that last second order. Oh, I got to have this. I got that last second. I've got hooks coming from Pennsylvania. I've got swim baits coming from Illinois, and I've got shirts coming from Texas, all that didn't make it. So those will be coming down Thursday, hopefully, with my good buddy Rick Garvalia. When he's going to pick up the shirts, and Beth's going to throw those other little items in there. I mean, they won't take up that much space. So, but I know Rick, his truck, he'll have to get extra springs on his truck to be able to pack everything he's bringing.
Well, you know what? I know it's cold weather. I know it's cold water, but Danny Gann, Danny Gann definitely does say, "Power fish that frog." You know that.
Oh, hey, Danny. Interesting. 50-degree temperatures, sunny skies. Send me a direct message, or post it in the comments what you would do, so everybody will get an idea. Well, no, you know what? No, hell no. Oh, this is Rusty Hook After Dark. This is not a PG show. Danny Gann, hell, go ahead and share it with everybody. I don't care. I'm not one of those type of guys. But I'm interested in what your thoughts are there, because I know what I'm going to do tomorrow when I go out and practice a little bit. And my good buddy Tommy Covey from West Virginia, he comes down here a lot and bass fishes with some friends. He gave me some pointers. The thing is, like Randy, we were talking, I left, it was 19 degrees. When I pulled in down here at 4:00, it was showing 63.
Right.
So my understanding, the water temperatures are in the 50s. So it's going to be interesting to see how I can adapt to that tomorrow through the rest of the week, getting ready for tournament.
Well, I mean, you've got the week kind of setting up to be a good week.
Yeah, I think so. A little cold front coming in on Friday, but I don't think it's going to be a major front that will shock or move fish. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm
gonna bust out the handy dandies and see what we got going on here. Hold on. We have Danny Gann says, yeah, he's caught him in the 20s doing that, and we all know Danny's a good power frog fisherman. So I mean,
hell yeah.
You definitely want to make sure you got that. So let's take a look at here what we got. Throughout the week, we are looking at in the upper 60s throughout the week, which is nice.
Right.
So, but it does get chillier in the evenings, obviously. I mean, as soon as the sun went down, it dropped like 20 degrees. It was that fast.
Yeah.
Friday, it is calling for rain, 91% chance of rain.
Oh, is it changed? It went to 91%?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully it misses this area here, but we'll see.
I hope it does, and then you got Saturday, cloudy, sunny, and 64% chance of precipitation. So it's going to be in the 57, 58 Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, I mean, the week is setting up to be good for the weekend if that water can stay a little warmer.
See, that's the bad thing about pre-fishing, is that you can settle on a pattern, and then you have a cold front come in, and it completely wipe out that pattern you've developed. And look what day it's coming, the day before the tournament. So I guess the basic thing is that you need to do the basic things when it comes to a tournament like this. And you go out and you find your brush, mark those areas that's got cover, because cover and stuff like that holds heat, wood, rocks, things like that. And then, try to hit it in the mid-afternoon and see if you can pull a few fish out of it.
So does I know what rain would do for me. So what does rain do for you in your forecast for the week? Does it give you a clean slate with the entire field, or does it just make it stink? Let's just put it that way.
Well, I don't know much about South Carolina and this lake. I don't know how the rain affects the feed or the this time of year down here. I mean, now if we're talking cold weather up in West Virginia with smallmouth, I might be able to help you there. But we're talking these big fat greenfish down here, and I'm hoping that they just stay hungry all the time and want to eat. But that'll be determined, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
I would be
as
determined.
long
Yeah,
as it don't get muddy, Randy. If it gets muddy, then it's just going to be.
then it's
I'm
done.
just going to tie on a spinner bait and wish for the best.
Tie on a spinner bait and a crankbait and do the things you don't like doing.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, I mean, it looks like there's a couple guys that are going to have that have the drill in the area. So when we wrap up our show here, I can clue you in on who those are. But here's a good question for you: when do you guys start kayak fishing tournaments?
Well, they've already had the one down in Florida. The Hobie was
Yeah,
down there 2 weeks ago.
yeah, on the Harris
So
chain.
I mean, the national tournament trails are starting early, and they'll go. It's getting to the point now where you can find the tournament from February to November.
Oh yeah,
So, but then don't forget, you got your local and regional trails that'll be kicking off. Make sure you look those up in your state, in your area. A lot of those clubs will be announcing their tournaments and their sponsors and things like that. And it's a great way to get started. That's how you get to meet guys like I'm from West Virginia. I'm staying with guys from Pennsylvania and Tennessee. So, I mean, it's, you develop relationships outside of your circle right in your area. And,
right.
And you know how that goes, Randy. Hell, you were in Florida, now you're in North Carolina, and you and I've been friends for almost 10 years. So,
Right, exactly. I mean, when you're traveling around in the industry, I mean, eventually you're going to keep on seeing a lot of the same people, because when you travel around and you do the national circuit, obviously that's going to be in patches, so you're going to see individuals the same. But when you go to your local level and you, like, let's say you're driving around, you do a tournament, and then you're like, oh, there's a local tournament that I'd like to do. Let's say the guys at Southeast Georgia kayak bass fishing, they decide to have an event, and you decide to join up with them. And by the way, they're on, and I was just saying, hey, how you guys doing?
what's up, Danny?
You start to build your community, and your community is what gets you through the industry. I mean, it's all the good times, the laughter, the fun that you have when you're out and about, even when you're out on the water. John's got his secret arsenal that he likes to use when he's going to events to kind of.
That's right. Boys and girls, go back and look at my post from yesterday, maybe, or day before yesterday. Yesterday is my pre-packing setup. The most important of my arsenal is for sabotage of my compadres out there. If I can put one or two of those cold refreshments in somebody, and maybe they have a little ping in their head and they miss that fish or something. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm not that kind of guy. Boys, when John Rapp goes somewhere, he wants people to have fun, relax, and have a great time. And that's what that little red cooler is all about. And I hope to share it with quite a few people down here.
Yeah, so Romero he had that question about when do you guys start kayak fishing. He's actually thinking about moving from Arizona to Morgantown and start kayak fishing. Just start kayak fishing.
Yeah.
So that should be
excellent, man. Morgantown is one hell of a nice place, and you got one of the best rivers in the nation up there that runs into it. You can fish. It's from Parsons, the area. It's the Mon River. And I'll tell you, the smallmouth on there are awesome. You can go and float that area like a 6 mile float and catch between 60 and 80 fish a day. I mean,
wow.
Now, granted, they're not big monsters, but I mean, it's just a great time. You can catch 10 to 12-inch fish all day long.
Well, that's fun. So
speaking of tournaments, let's do a little promo of a great event that we're going to get ready to do in Tennessee.
Yep, right. Here we go. That's right. If you join this April 27th and 28th Dale Hollow event, open right now on Tourney X, that you can register and go to it. You can get signed up, meet everybody, hang out with everybody. I know there's a large contingent coming from Tennessee. There's also going to be a contingent coming from West Virginia, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Normally we had about 18 last year. I suspect we'll have between 10 and 12 this year. A few people can't make it this year because of other obligations. Hey, if you don't care, look for the video for Richard's phone number on there.
Yep, I have it. Yep. So yeah, so if you're ready to sign up, go to Tourney X right now. $100 gets you in on the tournament. And at the same time, as soon as you're done registering, make sure you get a hold of Richard down there at Dale Hollow at the Eastport Marina and get a hold of him to arrange for your
Houseboat room.
houseboat room. So
There's
here's the
only
ad
20
for that.
spaces. Only 20 spaces available, and I know one's been taken already that I'm aware of. So let's just say there's 17, 18 spaces. You need to get a hold of Richard and get a room reserved. $50 a night. You're on the water right next to the restaurant. You can go down there and fish, eat, and not leave the place for 5 days and just have a blast.
And if you want, you could just leave your kayak on the water right there by the
Yes.
boat.
Yep.
That's
Moor it
pretty
right
cool.
up. You can just, it stays, mine stays in the water the whole week it's down there.
There you go. So here's the number for Richard if you guys are going to it. Here you go. I just want to go on one of the slides.
Yeah, and that was, you were looking at it, guys and gals. That was the houseboats right on the water. That beautiful morning view right there. I was rolling by them. You can make a left and go out into the main lake. You can go right and go down the river, or you can go back up the river the direction that I was coming from. So you got plenty of options to fish right down there.
Yeah, there's a lot, and not to mention it's Dale Hollow, so it's a very big piece of water and waterway down there. And I mean, last year, give a brief synopsis. Who won last year, and what was the total bag? You remember?
Both days. Well, the same guy has won it 2 years in a row, and he's also won big fish.
Oh,
He's a hammer. He knows that lake, and we've moved the tournament to where you're catching the fish on the beds. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think the first day he had like 98 inches.
there you go.
Of smallmouth. Then on day 2, he had over 100 inches.
Dang.
So the boy raked it in, and it's just, I know Richard's working on with his sponsors in the area to again make sure that the big bass payout daily will be very nice. Over $1,000. Last year it was over $2,000 a day. So
Wow.
Get signed up, folks.
Dang, that's a big tournament. So what's your expectations going down to Lake Murray? Well, I mean, give me like, what's your thoughts on what you're getting ready to roll into in the next couple of days?
Well, my expectations are not high. I fished this lake 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't do very well. Same time of the year. This time of year is just hard fishing for me. I always struggle at the beginning of the year in cold water. My technique is not suited, I guess, for this type of fishing, where
Okay.
you guys like you that throw the crankbaits and the spinner baits and the kind of thing that you have more opportunity to catch fish because you're power fishing, you're giving more opportunities for the bite, where you may have thrown 10 or 12 casts to my 2.
Right. So
I'm
your style
finesse
is definitely
fisherman.
a little bit more relaxed, laid back.
Yeah.
Kind of let it roll, let it happen.
Yeah, I drop it down in there in those brush piles, and I'll let it float around a little bit, and I'll twitch it, and then I'll bring it up, and hopefully it moves a little bit, and I'll try to drop it back down there a little bit more. And I mean, when I was in Kentucky Lake back in 2015 and 2017, I won money at those national championships. But
Mhm.
I haven't been able to duplicate that success in South Carolina. So
How often do you personally fish in tournaments?
nowadays, not like I did. 14, 15, 16. I think if you go look at my Tourney X profile, I probably fished 35 tournaments a year.
Right.
And then and that was state and local, regional. And then, but we didn't have the type of and that for was a lot of tournaments because Randy, back then it was just your state clubs and then KBF.
Right.
And then what 16, 17, 18, 17, 18, 19, Hobie got involved. And at that time I was running the West Virginia Kayak Anglers. So I would fish my events with that club and then I would travel a little bit and do some onlines as well. So my tournament activity probably dropped in half over those
Okay.
3 or 4 years. Then the last 2 or 3 years, as I've gotten older, I just don't have the drive to go out like I used to. So I probably do about 10 a year.
Well, that's actually still pretty good. I mean,
So
one a month.
One a month, and or maybe one a month, and then in the summertime maybe two. But
Yeah.
I find myself doing more traveling now, and doing I'm here for a week. I'm going to Oklahoma for a week for the big event with Bass Nation.
Yeah, you're doing the expo.
Is Expo Classic, whatever they call it. We're going out there with Z Pro Lithium, flying down to hang out with Jacob Oldenburg, our business manager, load up some batteries, go up there, set up a booth, and be at the Classic or whatever they call it. I don't know all those terms.
You're going to the Classic and working the expo. That's exactly what it is.
That's what I'm doing. So as soon as we get back from that, my intentions are to come down and hang out with you for 2 or 3 days and fish Hobie on Lake Norman.
Lake Norman, north of Charlotte.
I love that lake. I actually done well in the tournament that I fished with Hobie there 3 years ago. I didn't finish in the money, but I finished in the top third, I think, out of the 100 and some. Each day I had my limit. Hell, I caught 30 fish each day. I found a nice school of fish. I just didn't catch anything in size. And then paddle and fins. I'm going to that at the end of April. We'll spend a week at Del Holla. End of May, I'm going to a week up to Lake Erie and hang out with Greg Kupfner and Buddy Vance and West Virginia folks and fish up there. So it's not so much my focus has been to travel and fish and spend more time fishing. And so I'm not doing the tournament things like I used to, but I still squeeze those in when I can.
So as a person that's been in the industry for a while, and obviously you've been doing tournaments, not as much as you have in the past. What is some advice that you can give an angler who is making a trip for the first, maybe second time out of their home state, going to another state?
Keep your expectations low, but aim high. Be humble, but be friendly.
Right.
The kayak fishing community can be a wonderful place if you open yourself up and introduce yourself to people. I mean, you already have things in common. You love to fish, and you do have a plastic boat. So go out with the expectation or with the intention to walk away with 1 or 2 new friendships and not worry about winning money, because that will be more valuable to you in the long run than cashing a check and it's spent 2 or 3 days later when you have a relationship like I've made with you for 10 years now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's more valuable and it'll last a whole hell of a lot longer.
If you keep your expectations low when you're there fishing, it's almost like you're just there fishing with a whole bunch of friends, and it makes it a little bit easier to overcome with the stress, not to allow it to compound in your brain and to let it overtake you, because your brain can get in your way real fast.
Yeah, that's the truth. And that's one of the reasons why when I go somewhere, I go with the intent to have an absolute best time I can on the social scene, and the fishing just is the icing on the cake if I do well. So
Now, there's other people that have the reverse psychology of that. They're
that's
like
true.
diehards. Boom! I'm going to fish, and I'm going to make sure I'm in that top 5 every day. And that is fine. That is a totally different tactic, and that's a totally different way to go and fish.
And I got friends like that. I've got friends that they'll have. Well, when we went and fished the KBF tourney, some of the guys from West Virginia, I mean, they were up rigging and re-rigging till midnight, studying maps, talking. And I'm over there trying to sleep. And I'm like, man, guys, go to bed. Old man's got to get some sleep. No, but I mean, there's some guys that take it serious, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's good
there's
to
nothing
have
wrong
those
with that because you're spending the money. You're spending the money to go to the tournament. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
Is to be in that mindset. But your best benefit is going to be lower expectations. Go in with the hope of just catching one fish a day.
And not only that, the thing is too is that take away something from the experience.
Yeah.
When you meet people and you talk to them about how they caught fish and what they're doing, you're adding that to your arsenal. So I mean, learn something. And that's the one thing I wished I would have done that more over the last 10 years. Is I picked more brains of Matt Balls and Jody Queens, and
Right.
I'm doing that now more now that I've gotten older and I don't fish tournaments. I like to go fish with Jody Queen down on the New River with him and his friends, and just go out and he's 30 or 40 yards from me casting, and he catches a fish, and I'm, hey man, how'd you do that? And Jody Queen's one of the most friendliest people you'll ever find. He'll tell you, well, man, I've done this jackhammer with this little rig, with 8-pound test line. I mean, he's a source of knowledge, and I love the guy, and I appreciate, all his tutelage here that he gave me back in August.
You said,
but
tutelage,
learn from people.
Tutelage.
Learn from people.
Tutelage. That's a new word for me. Tutelage.
Yeah. Old dude. See, great.
Oh yeah, and Danny again definitely says it the best. Better for your mental health to go in and just have fun, and I would totally agree. If you've ever, I'll tell you right now, if you've ever fished against Danny's the same from the beginning when you meet him, and the end of the day when he's the same on the water and the same when he's off the water, and that's what I love about him because he's just a down to earth guy. He's going to do his power fishing, and that's the frog. He's going to frog it all day long. And he's going to live and die by it.
I just want to know, does he buy dinner when he wins all that money? Because he wins all the time.
He does. He does a good job. He does a good job.
He just needs to buy dinner. Say, hey, come on, boys, pizza on me.
You're not. And Danny does say it right. You are not going to get rich in this sport, so don't sweat.
Just pick it on you, Danny. I know you would buy that pizza if I was down there.
What type of pizza you like?
Man, warm.
Again, John's expectations are very low, very low.
Yeah. Do you think I got this big from turning down pizza?
I didn't say that. I did not say that. No, not one bit. Nope. No, we were at lunch today. I will tell you this. We were at lunch today. The lady comes up to us. She's like, "Hey, what would you guys like to drink?" I was like, "A sweet tea." He's like a half and half, and she goes off. She gets it, and then she comes back. She says, "Okay, what would you like to order?" I order a salad with like steak on it, and John gets the biggest burger ever. I mean, this thing was massive. By halfway through, he had to start cutting it with a knife to eat it because it was just huge. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Man, when you get older, your life changes.
I'm like, challenge accepted.
And then he looks over to me and goes, I probably should have did what you did and got the salad.
Yeah. No doubt. It's getting hard to get into them bib overalls that I bought 2 or 3 years ago. They don't want to stretch as much as they used to.
I mean, which one did you get? Did you get ones that are like neoprene with elastic in them, or did you just get
those NRS bibs, the big thick neoprene NRS? I finally put them down and just grabbed me a pair of pants at Ace Adventure Resort at the gear shop. They have some really good gear there for cold water because I mean they're all whitewater guys. Yeah. So I go over all the time and browse through their stuff to see what's Blake and them coming out with from NRS, what's good, what's new. and I saw a pair of pants there for fat guys, because most of them guys over your size, they all wear size 30s, and
Well, it also doesn't help that like every whitewater rafting guide or tour person is like a stick.
yeah, layered. I mean, they have to put layers on to be able to put that stuff on,
The Daniel says police will eat anything that won't eat them first.
I resemble that remark.
I resemble that remark. Not resent that remark. Resemble.
Hey, Dan ain't got. I haven't met Dan in person, but I don't think he can say too many things bad about that. He could probably still bench press 350 pounds, but anyway, I better be caught before he comes up and whoops me.
Nah. And if you guys haven't realized, he's not talking in a studio today. He's talking in his truck. He's got no lights, no anything, and he's just sitting there. He got done getting his kayak together and got on the phone with us. But
yeah,
no,
and I should point out that I want to tell you and your family and your wife thank you for missing out on soccer practice so you could jump in the studio for me and bring me on so I could do my show tonight.
Oh, I'm not missing soccer podcast. My son's still at it. He's there. I'm not missing it. Trust me. That's his thing. It's like, let him do his thing. I have the privilege of not coaching right now, so I'm even happier.
Yeah, that's right. Last year you were doing that, weren't you?
Oh, I was knee deep in a whole bunch of coaching and several
Yeah.
teams. And yeah, this year I took one step back, and with the traveling and the soccer and all that stuff, it's a little much to try to do another soccer team.
I hear you.
And we got our little one. But let's talk about now. So we have a few things that are getting ready to come down the pipe. Obviously, everybody's getting ready for tournament season. If you're a tournament angler, if a tournament kayak angler, you're preparing your season. Either it's kicking off this weekend or it kicked off at Harris down in Florida. You're preparing yourself to get you're aligning yourself to be ready for what's going to happen, and everything is just really unexpected. You can prepare as much as you want, but when you travel out of state and things like that, my biggest thing of advice is just be
flexible.
That's it. Be flexible, because it's going to rain. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be windy. You're going to have one day it's going to be completely trash.
We all know the one thing about fishing is it's never going to go the way you plan it. I mean, you have to be able to react on the fly and change. One of the guys that was here working with his stuff, I was like, how many fishing poles you carry? He's like, I normally carry 8 or 9. I'm like, I said, cool. And that's like, so I took a guess. I'm like, so I'm going to take a guess you carry 7 bait casters and 3 spin rods. He's like, no, 9 and 1. So
wow.
He carries 1 spinning rod, and all he does is carry a Senko, a weightless Senko, a Texas rig for that spinning rod. And I'm like, because I only carry 4. I carry 2 and 2. So so he's got 9 things. And we could talk about Mark Edwards from West Virginia. That dude carries like 12. Steve Gunner's the same way. He's down here. He carries 12 to 14. And it's almost like the bass guys that got their stuff laid out on the deck that they can just grab. They've got stuff tied up differently for a spinner bait, a swim bait, top water, a jig. Then, I can't do that. I can't be that. I'm more just I'm gonna have 4 of them tied up, and then hopefully one of those 4 will be the one that works for me.
I've done it. I've done events and fished events where I've had like 6, 7, 8 rods, and I've only used one the entire time.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing here?
But some guys do move, and Mark Edwards is probably one of the most successful fishermen out of West Virginia, other than Jody Queen. And at least he's always in the top 5. Right. And the dude, I mean, he's very loose and open with his techniques and knowledge as well. But he'll tell you, I mean, he has everything tied up based on what his expectations are for the weather, the water, the temperatures, the season. I can tell you right now, if he was down here with the conditions that they talked about today, I know right now he's throwing a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
So if I'm curious if I talk to Mark, if I see him the next few days, I'm gonna ask him what was 100, out of your 100 pitches during the day, how many times did you throw spinnerbait? I'm gonna say he threw it 20 times.
Well, yeah, because it's a good search bait too. So I mean,
Yeah.
it allows you to cover some ground, cover some areas, and get some looks underwater. So that's the nice thing about it.
Well, and it stains water down here. The water's a little dirty, and that's always a great vibrating bait to get
Yeah.
to reaction bites and things. So,
All right. Yeah. So let's do this real quick. We are going to do a. Do you have a commercial in here?
Yeah. Sponsors.
The 2024 one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We're at the 41-minute mark. We're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
Feel free kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. Something for everyone. Dubro Fishing. Marine products for fresh or saltwater adventures. Z Pro Lithium. Serious power for serious anglers. Big Lake Bait Company. Texas's #1 custom soft plastics.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. Quick and easy.
Quick and easy. I like it. The so as you can tell, I'm standing in for John and hosting and doing it and producing his show for him because obviously he's on the road. And it's funny because like everybody has their little nuances over here on the side. So my lineup is completely different than John's lineup. So I'm like trying to find everything. But that's a whole nother issue. So as we get ready, you get ready. April is the Dale Hollow event for the Paddle and Fin. And then our next big thing for Paddle and Fin is ICAST.
Yeah, man. I tell you, we have a name for our traveling crew, and it's the Waffle House Fishing Crew. So, and if you've been on the show before and you've watched it, Brian Schiller, the Paddle and Fin podfather, the big daddy, he doesn't travel by a Waffle House. I mean,
No, he does not go by them. When he sets up roots and he's someplace, he makes sure that there's a Waffle House very, very close.
I think he even set that up when he went to Indiana a couple weeks ago.
Oh, had to have. Guaranteed.
Now,
it was like right across the street, wasn't it?
Yeah, and, called him on his birthday last week when he was in Phoenix, and I'm like, dude, happy birthday! What Waffle House you at? He's like, I couldn't find one in Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix wouldn't have that. Yeah, that's true.
They probably have some type of version, maybe called Omelet Shop, but maybe who knows what they're called out there. They probably have some type of.
It's called IHOPs.
That maybe that's a little bit that's upscale.
IHOPs is upscale.
Hey, I tell you what I love about Waffle House, man, is that, I mean, it's almost you can watch it being cooked, and you can sit there and get savor thinking about, look at that bacon fry over and
the best thing about Waffle House is you get dinner and a show. Because there's everything that comes in the Waffle House.
Hey, Brian Schiller, we love you, man.
Always. Southeast Georgia, Daniel says when you guys head to ICAST, you might not want to swing over and fish with him.
Well, that we talked about that on the show because when we stopped last year and we went through Memphis and stopped at the Lady Bird Lake or Bird of Jack Lake or whatever it's called right there on the border. Fished it, shot some content for Dubro, and you're seeing a bunch of that stuff come across the Dubro feed right now, guys, if you're looking at it. And then the next day we stopped down at Westbrook Supply there in Atlanta and hung out with Fletch and them. We were going to stay the night there and fish the next day, but that fell through on us, so we cruised on down to Yankeetown and hung out down there and went out offshore with our friend Captain Katie Joe, and fished with them. her two boats, her and another captain, and went out and slayed some salt this year. So it was a good time.
That's a good time. That's fun. Yeah.
Before our ICAST adventure. So.
Before ICAST and the 4 days of standing there on your feet and
yeah.
But yeah, but what we're looking at doing again, we're looking at taking the podcast back to ICAST. We're looking at being back at the Dubro booth, and we're going to do the same thing again this year. We're going to bring in content every hour on the hour if we can for all the days that are on the show. So we're going to go out to the on the water event, be out there. We've got a lot that's getting ready to happen for Paddle and Fin, and not to mention that Paddle Fin's got a lot of shows happening this year. TPO Dock Talk is out of Colorado, but it's also brand new this year. So if you're looking at that one, TPO Dock Talk, we have the Final Cast, which is my show, and also the Unscripted Duo podcast, which is getting ready to start rolling in here too. And that's going to be a unique show for the network. And then you've got the Rusty Hook, you've got the Noob Show, you've got what else is there?
Yeah, I think Matt reached out to me. He's going to record a Noob show tonight, so we may have a show to put up here in the next few days for bass fishing with noobs. And you always got Doo down in Texas from Chasing the Tide, man. He's got a great show, and he gets out there. And you guys got to check out Dustin Nichols. Dustin's a hell of a saltwater fisherman. He's part of the Jackson kayak fishing team. He runs that team over there. He's a great guy, and make sure y'all follow Dustin. Hopefully we'll get some fresh salt content from him soon, and we can learn a little bit about what he's doing out there catching big trout and reds,
So with everybody who's currently watching right now and or listening and or going to be watching, let's say tomorrow or the next couple of days, make sure that if you kind of got an interest in getting into the podcast streaming game or the talking game and just being a talking head on the fishing scene here, reach out to us because we're always looking for ideas and bring in new hosts and bring in new opportunities for anglers to kind of get their feet wet and get established in the industry and be a part of the Paddle and Fin Network. It's an opportunity. You can reach out to both John and I, and we can talk to you about some opportunities and some show ideas and concepts, and just maybe kind of like establish something. The one thing that we've done over this past month or so is we've kind of revamped all of the channels and the shows, so they've got unique looks and a unique style and a flow that can go with them. And you're going to see a lot more.
And you know what? And let's give credit where credit's due there, buddy. You've done a hell of a good job. So I appreciate the work you're doing back in the backgrounds, man. So
we do a lot. We're doing a lot. John and I are always on a phone call. We're always talking about something. And the next thing is trying to bring in individuals. We brought in Matt Gibson's been kind of like coming in and filling in and kind of getting his feet wet into this side. And he's been doing great. I mean, like it's when you get, this is one thing about the community too. When you get involved with a bunch of individuals that are very like-minded, you could be from all over the country and it's still the same thing. We have love for fishing. We all love our little plastic boats. And at the same time, we love to have a good time and produce great content. And so that's what we're doing. Our content this year has a goal and a focus to at least get one more person out on the water. And that's what we want to do. So if somebody's listening for the first time, hopefully content brings them on board, gets them out on the water, gets them in the kayak, just get them. And I'm not saying even in the kayak, just get out them fishing. You can bank fish, you could do anything. Just get out there and fish. And so that's what we're trying to do, is create our entire network just to get one person out on the water each time, so we can reach that one person. So
and we're holding the line right now, because we have a few people that have stepped aside for some family issues.
And that's fine. That's perfect.
Once those get resolved, we're going to have huge network here again. And so look for Brian and Jay to get back kicking too. Once Brian's show season's kicked off, he's got probably another month and a half, and then hopefully we've got the pod daddy back in here throwing some wisdom and knowledge out at us. So
that OG show coming back. Coming back.
Cool, man. Hey, nothing but love for you folks out there. Randy, make sure we, as we always do in all our shows, we preach safety, guys. Let people know where you're at. It's February. The water's cold. Fish with friends, family. Tell them where you're going to be at. You don't have to tell them where your honey hole is and where you're catching fish, but give them an idea where you're at going to be so they can check on you and make sure you're okay if they don't hear from you. Pass out, make sure you're wearing the appropriate clothing for where you're at. And as always, I know everybody in the community, they was searching for a gentleman up in Pennsylvania and they found him.
Yeah.
That was sad. On the Susquehanna, he passed away just a couple days ago. So prayers and thoughts for his family. But wear your PFD, for God's sake. That's what it's for.
I don't know how many times you can beat a dead horse, but this is like the most important dead horse you could keep on beating. Like you saw last week, if you were on my show, if you watched my show, we were with NRS and we were with Blake. We were talking about the PFDs and just the importance of material and the flotation and the way the way the vests are going to be wrapping around you now, so they're not going to be so big and bulky and kind of like out there. And it's just important that you find that right one, you wear it, and you have it. For one, you make sure it's with you. For two, and three, you wear it.
Yep.
Wear it. And if you wear it, you're going to get back to the shore safely.
Cue the music, baby. Thank
you
guys
very much.
For tuning in.
Yes. Thank you very much. We appreciate y'all. If you're all traveling to South Carolina tonight or tomorrow, please be safe and watch out for all the crazies. Make sure you wear those PFDs this weekend. Have a great time. And when you're there, introduce yourself to 2 new people that you've never seen or met before. Tell me that you met them and have a great time with them, and then that's how the fishing community works.